Albion Sports Ground, the head of state explained that the pros and cons of medical marijuana use must be weighed before any decision on local use is made, and corporate airlines change within local skies. We'll have the details of these and other presidential activities in this week's edition of the Diary for the period July 5 to July 11. I'm Paul McCallum. A call was made for the church to join in combating social ills which affect society by President Ramasar.
President Ramasar joined members of the Jesus Deliverance Mission International Church on Thomas Street, Kitty, July 6th for its anniversary service, making a call for collective prayers on challenging issues facing the nation.
Things like poverty are some of the things that people will not want to focus on the spiritual life if some of these things are not removed from them. And therefore, in that way I find that there is a lot of commonness in what you do in the church and what we try constantly to do every day in government, to try to fight against poverty, fight against some of the evils in society that we have to constantly fight against.
Crime, corruption and domestic violence are challenges which can be overcome with the formation of partnerships between government and stakeholders such as the church and other non-governmental organizations, the President noted. Government is spending large amounts on various aspects of the social sector, but citizens must also do their part, he said.
Therefore, it is important for the church also to help us in this regard. I am thankful for the prayers that you give and also for the guidance that you can give to the young ones who come here to avoid some of these areas that only lead to a dead end and very often lead to untimely and premature death. Life that is sometimes wasted, and with people who sometimes will have great ability to make a big contribution to the development of our society. So I want to thank you for some of the work you're doing with our young people, to keep them on the straight and narrow, so that they will know that these things are themselves ungodly, and they can try to steer away from them as much as possible.
The event was part of the church's 28th anniversary celebrations.
The commissioning of the state-of-the-art lighting system for the Albion Sports Ground is the realization of a promise made by the government to enhance the Berbice community's sporting facilities.
This was made a reality on July 7 when, accompanied by the Youth, Sport and Culture Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, other government officials and the cricketing legend Clive Lloyd, the head of state formally threw the switch to officially commission the multi-million-dollar lighting system at the ground.
At this time, our young people are bombarded by many negative influences, by international criminals using drugs to enrich themselves, and they do not care how many lives that they destroy. And one of the ways that we think that can make a major contribution in helping our young people to develop strong and healthy habits is to provide for them facilities so that they can have an outlet for their energies and educate them to stay away from the negative things that can harm them.
Sport plays an important part in ensuring that youths are mentally alert, and with the world moving to a more knowledge-based economy, this is extremely necessary, the President added.
Hopefully, this facility here will be the first of many in the region where people can have facility that they can have recreation and build and bring international sports to the county here so that we can inspire our youth to have real healthy role models.
The $110 million project was launched a few months ago and saw the erection of 6 towers with 17 luminaries on each pole. The system is being powered currently by the Ghana Power and Light Company.
The sugar industry's best days are still ahead, according to President Ramatar.
The sugar industry's best days are still ahead, reiterated President Ramatar. This opinion was expressed when he addressed those on hand to witness the formal commissioning of the multi-million-dollar lighting system at the Albion Sports Ground in Berbice.
Because of the changing nature of the trading relations in the world, has decided to help this industry to regain its vitality. And we have given this year $6 billion to support the industry so that it can move from strength to strength.
The local industry has not been performing as expected, but this should change with the installation of a new board of directors and the recent $6 billion package aimed at implementing a series of measures designed to turn around the industry's performance. The contribution of the sugar sector to the national economy was previously stressed by the president, who noted that some 3.9% of Ghana's GDP was earned, along with a total of $114 million in 2013, with $19.9 billion in salaries paid last year and some 16,000 directly employed and 80,000 directly dependent on the sugar sector. Government is well aware of its importance. The president has often noted that government's commitment to the industry should not be questioned, as since 2005, some $40 billion has been put into the industry.
You're watching The Diary, where we have been recapping the highlights of the country's president's weekly activities. More after the break.
In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers, or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidbribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
By cutting the administrative arm of the Office of the President's funding, the allocation for the provision of the Head of State Security has been removed. This action can compromise the security of President Donald Ramatar. This move sets a dangerous precedent and is unacceptable for any head of state, government, or right-thinking people of a democratic nation.
Ghana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2050. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered. The opposition's disapproval of monies for the Office of the President has affected several agencies such as the Civil Defense Commission. This agency deals with managing and assisting persons and communities affected by disasters, natural and man-made. The move to disapprove funding for the CDC means that if any disaster were to occur, the government would not be able to provide any assistance to those in need.
The construction of what is due to be Ghana's second five-star luxury hotel is yet another indication of the confidence in the local economy by both local and foreign investors. So said President Ramatar on July 9.
Delivering the feature address at a simple ceremony to mark the start of a five-star luxury hotel's construction at Liliendal, just east of the International Conference Center and west of the CARICOM Secretariat, the President said he was pleased to be part of an event which could result in further growth in the tourism sector and build the economy.
It also has tremendous linkages with what we're trying to do in our society, like the expansion of the airport, attracting new airlines to come here, getting more direct links to Europe and North America and to Africa and these places that will help us to improve arrivals in our society. And these kinds of infrastructure are very important in that regard. And we have a lot of facilities that can really now be maximized. The usage of these can be maximized. We have the stadium where we can hold large sporting events. We have the convention center here, and the hotels themselves are being built with capacity to hold large conferences and meetings. So obviously, these are extremely important in driving tourism and allowing us to meet the full potential of our tourism product.
He added that there will be a big spin-off effect for the increased potential for investment in interior communities such as Orinduik and other areas where more community-based tourism activities can occur.
These kind of investment will have a nationwide impact. While they will have the investment here and we will have a beautiful hotel, which will be changing the landscape of our country, changing the skylines of our country, but at the same time, I think that it will have a big spin-off effect into the interior area that can stimulate tourism. And as you know, we have envisaged a new kind of approach to some of the tourism, particularly in the interior, the community type of tourism.
The $54 million investment will offer 163 rooms with 5-star accommodation and feature a casino, restaurants, and a pool. More than 300 persons will benefit from jobs after the hotel is constructed, and according to the director of the Sun and Sand Conglomerate, an Indian-based company specializing in hotels, casinos, metals, and mineral mining, Bhushan Chandra, the facility is expected to be completed within 18 months. Construction begins at the end of August and will be undertaken by the company of BK International.
CARICOM is taking serious measures to deal with the issue of accommodating local law students at the UWI campus.
The accommodation challenges facing local law students wishing to attend the Hugh Whitting Law School at the University of the West Indies in Trinidad and Tobago was among issues high on the agenda for regional leaders at the just concluded 35th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. The issue is one which has been resolved at least for 2014 admissions, according to President Ramatar.
For this year it's all right, but we have to do something from here on in because there's a problem with capacity of the law school. In more and more students going to the law school, and more countries are taking in more and more students. So I think the University of the West Indies will have to expand the facilities to deal with the demand that exists for the law students.
The fate of Guyanese law students was recently put in limbo after the Hugh Whitting Law School initially indicated that it would be unable to accommodate additional students from the University of Guyana's law program. The council has, however, reversed its decision that the UG's 2014 batch will not be guaranteed any place at the institution. This move has been welcomed by legal practitioners and stakeholders locally.
The use of marijuana for medical purposes is increasingly accepted by several countries internationally, and CARICOM examined this issue during its recently concluded 35th Heads of Government meeting in Antigua and Barbuda.
The issue is one that will be examined by government, according to President Ramatar, but much more information is needed before a firm decision is made.
The emphasis seems to be on some of the positive nature of medical marijuana. But we also, I think, need all the information about the negatives too. And then how do we control it in order to look at the general health of the population as a whole. So I think it's a good thing that CARICOM has set up such a body that will go into in-depth study of it, which all of us can benefit and help decision makers to take positions on the issue.
CARICOM has created a commission to study whether the region's roughly 15 million people should be allowed to use medical marijuana and how courts should handle possession of small amounts of the drug. This special commission is expected to submit its reports at the next Heads of Government Summit scheduled for February 2016. A recent preliminary report from CARICOM found that decriminalizing medical marijuana could help boost the region's economy. Activists in Jamaica, St. Lucia, and other CARICOM territories have been pushing to legalize its use, and Jamaica's government recently announced its plans to partially decriminalize possession of small amounts of cannabis sativa, or pot as it is commonly known. They will also allow for possession of small amounts for religious, scientific, and medical purposes. Uruguay in Latin America recently became the first country to approve nationwide pot legislation.
Representatives of several Swedish companies met with the president to examine investment opportunities in various sectors.
A delegation of Swedish investors during the week met with the head of state to discuss the possibility of investing in Guyana's growing economy. The team comprised representatives of 8 companies from Sweden and has already visited several other Caribbean nations.
Most interesting part for Guyana would be something we call lighter than air technique, using modern technique to improve efficiency in lumbering, for instance, surveillance and other applications. We have solar energy, we have environmental monitoring, we have also other areas, tropical plants, flowers, looking at purchasing coconut oil, etc. So a good variety of companies coming in this delegation. We are on a mission from the Swedish Ministry of Trade.
The delegation will hold another follow-up meeting shortly with other high-level officials and stakeholders in the various sectors.
Copa Airlines' entry into the local aviation sector will benefit several sectors, says the president.
The increased benefits for both Guyana and Panama as a result of the Central Latin American country's national airline Copa operating to and from local shores were spoken of by the president at a cocktail event to mark the occasion.
It opens new and huge possibilities for both Guyana and Panama. In the first instance, I think it will increase our trade relations. There's quite a lot of business already, business people from Guyana who travel to Panama to do business. And many times they have to probably lose a whole day waiting for connections and in transit in parts of the Caribbean. And now they can have much more direct contact. And Guyana will become much more known in Panama, and we can sell a lot of our products as well there in Panama in the first instance. But it does more than that. As Karen and Robeson mentioned, it opens, and the colleague who spoke here before mentioned it opens new doors to different parts of the world, making travel much easier to get to Africa. And I hope that very soon that Copa will have an in-transit flight going to Brazil where we can make easier connection to the African continent. And that will make our airport a major hub for the Caribbean people, for people going in that direction.
The improvement of tourism, particularly to interior locations, was cited by President Ramotar as another benefit of having the airline enter the local market.
One of the, not difficulties, but the challenge that we face is to how fast we can develop our interior areas. And I have no doubt that tourism can play a very important role in developing the interior. We have some spectacular locations in this country.
The airline will operate twice weekly flights on Tuesdays and Fridays from Guyana into Panama. Guyanese will be allowed to travel to that country without a visa for up to 90 days. Copa Airlines and Copa Airlines Colombia are subsidiaries of Copa Holdings, which is a leading Latin American provider of passenger and cargo services with more than 65 years of uninterrupted operations.
More of the diary after this break.
Ghana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered. In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers, or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidbribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
By cutting the administrative arm of the Office of the President's funding, the allocation for the provision of the Head of State Security has been removed. This action can compromise the security of President Donald Ramotar. This move sets a dangerous precedent and is unacceptable for any head of state, government, or right-thinking people of a democratic nation.
The opposition's disapproval of monies for the Office of the President has affected several agencies such as the Civil Defense Commission. This agency deals with managing and assisting persons and communities affected by disasters, natural and man-made. The move to disapprove funding for the CDC means that if any disaster were to occur, the government would not be able to provide any assistance to those in need.
Last all in district diary for the period July 5 to July 11, 2014. Before we go, these were some of the highlights. President Ramotar turned court for Ghana's second five-star hotel. President of this state-of-the-art medical system at the Albert District Ground. The head of state explained that the pros and cons of medical marijuana use must be weighed before any decision is made on its use, and corporate airlines takes to be localized. Please join us again for the next program when we will bring you